What's up, guys? How's it going? So we're here for another weekly Rust update. Now, not a lot of stuff was added into the game this week, but they're making some huge progress with some things, and we're going to be covering that, as well as something really awesome. We have an updated live version of the roadmap attached to the new Rust site. So if you haven't seen, the Rust website was redone a little bit ago. You've got this area up here where you can check out all the blogs. There's an info section. There's frequently asked questions. There's the change logs if you don't want to follow on the Twitter. And then a list of commits by who and what and when going on with that. They've now added the roadmap, which is something very important. Now, this is something that will update as they're doing it. You'll see there is a now, next, and later. Now, of course, I'll link this down in the description below if you want to check it out yourself, or you can just simply go to FacePunch's website for Rust. But what we want to kind of touch on here is a representation of what's going on. So I know a lot of people don't like to read or just don't want it, so we're going to kind of briefly cover this. So now what they are currently working on here, this year, Q4 2017 is... there's a learning curve, okay, is what they're calling it. And they basically want to make it to where the game's easier for people to join. So they want to do hints, task lists, achievements, and so forth. And over this past few weeks, you've already seen that kind of stuff. So that's something they're actively working on right now. They want to get that core system implemented in the game. They also want to fix item descriptions. A lot of item descriptions are screwed up, and that's something they want to knock out right now, right away. The other thing is the Bradley APC. The M2 Bradley is going to be implemented soon. Helk has said in this week's dev blog that he's working on it, but its pathing just wasn't quite right. He's changed up the system, and he's very positive that this will lead to a better system that he can build on for the future and make it work even better. So we'll be seeing it as soon as he gets that knocked out. Hopefully still actually this month is what he's going for. We'll just have to kind of see how that goes with that. Another thing, the recoil and aim cone system is something they're working on. If you read the dev blog, they've changed the LR and the MP5 once again, and they would like people to test it out and give more feedback. So they basically added some changes to them last week. People gave feedback. They changed it now this week. That's something there. As you can see, stop using peer-to-peer. So this is to prevent like DDoSing issues between players and so forth. That's something they're working on. The tree harvesting redux. That's going to be basically the mini games we saw with the ore nodes. They want to do something similar for trees that makes it a little more fun, and that's something they want to get down and going. They also want trees to fall over instead of just vanishing, so add a little more immersion that way, which I know is something I've always wanted for a while, and plenty of other people have been begging for as well. They also want to make it to where survey charges can be used to mine. That's another thing they're working on. And they also want to be able to use it on cave walls and blast out ore, which is pretty cool. So you can do some blast mining, and that's something I think is really exciting. Next up, AI improvements, working on the nav meshes, getting the scientists done, and getting the animals better with better AI. So they basically kind of just want to, they implemented the new AI system, they got it, they're still actively working on it, guys. They want animals to react better, they want to have better animations, better fleeing, etc. And that is something important. The scientists are working on how they take cover and etc. You can see in the dev blog, there's a little bit of details on that. They also want to make it to where buildings require a lot of upkeep. If you're going to make a giant honeycomb base, they want to make it not as practical as instead building smart. Of course, for that, they're going to have to give us better traps and so forth, because the couple traps we have now just isn't enough to stop offlining or make it that difficult. They're very easy to get around, so I hope that's something they work on more. They also want to work on the tool cupboard. It was originally implemented to stop griefing, and it's, they're saying it's a crutch that spiraled out of control. So that's something they're going to continue to make the cupboard go back to its original thing, which is anti-grieving, and that's it. Also, they want to continue farming and make it something that's easy to understand and is a basic part of the game every day kind of thing, which right now it just isn't. It's kind of tedious, annoying, and that's something they want to work on. What's going to be worked on next is the workbenches. This is something meant to give a tiered system, basically, to how we progress. The new arrowheads are still in the making. Item amounts, they want to kind of, work around with what they are. Crafting shouldn't be as high amount of time or such a waste, basically. They want to make damage types make more sense. They are adding in the small monuments, which we'll cover later on here in the video. The player model improvements, adding hair and beards and facial hair, etc., body hair. They want the items to spawn in the world visibly on shelves and desks and stuff instead of in barrels. So, you'll look and pick up an actual piece of scrap rather than crack open a barrel to get it. They want to put in rad town obstacles, things like locked boxes, key cards, broken down doors, snapped up cables. They want it to be more involved, and you're going to have to gain access to certain areas. So they want to make it, a little more in depth with the looting system. They also want to work on player movement, so falling physics, and such other things. They also want spawning to change up a bit, make it easier to kind of meet up with friends and have kind of like static spawning areas. That's another thing they're going to work on. Craft times are just awful. They want to do something about that. And then water just isn't really put in how they want it to, and they want to make like wells and other things around. Make hydration more important, but also not make it super tedious. So, that's kind of their goals here for the rest of the year, what they're working on. Now, going forward into the next year, they want to actually remove inventory size and instead change it to a weight limit. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy about that. We'll just have to see. It's going to take a lot of balancing. But to counter the weight limit, they want to go ahead and add backpacks. And, here we'll show off a backpack that they're working on. They've been working on it for the past couple weeks here, and we'll go ahead and show that towards the end of the video. Now, electricity is still something they want to put into the game. They want to use a system of logic gates and deployables that control flow of electricity. And it's just, they want to add things like pressure pads and automatic ways to turn on lights and open doors and stuff like that, elevators, things like that. So that's actually very cool. Here's the biggest thing that some people really hate and just don't want, but they are working on it still, and it is the vehicles. So the first thing we want to do is mountable objects. Sitting in a chair and using like a wall-mounted machine gun. A hot air balloon kind of thing. Probably gliders too was talked about in the past, but it's not mentioned here. Carts, they want to be able to do something where you can put like deployables on it, pull a chest on a turret, and allow you to continue farming longer before returning to a base. You can pull something along with you, maybe with a horse eventually. They still want to add vehicles like cars, allowing you to traverse the world fast, carry heavier items at long distances, and I'm sure that also probably means raiding vehicles as well. Rafts and boats are still a thing. They were put way back on the back burner of even maybe being in the game. They are now listed as just as important as cars. They are going to be something they want to put into the game. And of course, being able to ride a horse or a pig. That's pretty interesting. I would rather run around on the back of a bear shooting off my AK, but hey, who knows? Possibilities are endless, right? They also want to add radios and telephones into the game. They want to work on dividing up players based off of tiers. There's going to be a cargo ship event, a Chinook event, where a transport helicopter delivers locked crates similar to an airdrop, which is really cool. They also want to add an auto looter, so if you set up a trap base or someone fails at offlining you, something that picks up their gear so that you get rewarded for it, even though you're not online. Online raiding balance, they want to make it to where people feel more like raiding online, but also that you can watch it. So SEP CCTV cameras have a raid notification sent to your phone, that kind of thing. They also want to do prototype weapons where people can kind of put their own weapon parts together, make a automatic revolver shotgun or a double-barreled rifle and that kind of stuff. So that's something very exciting. I'm glad to see that still up in there because that was something I haven't heard anything about for a while. They also want to do a surrendering system, but not just where you surrender. And this is meant to kind of make it to where the KOS doesn't happen as much. And if the person surrenders, you can blindfold them, you can take them as prisoner, or you could interrogate them. And interrogating is very interesting. It'd be a minigame allowing players to extract information such as place, stash location, and possibly key codes from surrendered players. So that is very, very crazy. Can you imagine that someone sits there and interrogates you and they get your key code? That's crazy. So I'm very interested to see where that system may go in the future. Gestures are still in the works. Weather will still make a comeback. The mortar is still something they want to work on, but it just is way on the back burner. Being able to actually sit in chairs. Food preservation with salts and using the refrigerator, actually, adding spoil times. Tier 2 cooking, so cooking with benefits, health items, things like that. May give temporary boosts, that kind of stuff. Console versions are still in the eyes, people. They are still thinking about once the game is in a solid state to port it to the consoles. So there you go. There's that answer there. Fractional reloading. So being able to reload, 1 or 2 bullets into a gun and firing. Something very important with the pump shotgun or bolt action rifles. Wipeless rust. This is their huge end goal. They want to get rid of wipes, and that's going to be a tough one. Multiple islands. So being able to travel from island to islands using boats. Maritime gameplay, they want to add rafts and boats, of course, different types of engines, scuba gear, dive locations, underwater resources, and loot. Long-term persistence, of course, so they realize they removed the XP system and BPs, they need to make something else that works. They know it, they're going to work on it. Lore reveal, there is a story to Rust, they want to give it to us. And then they want to add something called RustNet, which would be working computer terminals in the game where you can set bounties on players, you can remote access devices like cameras and so forth. You can set up a job, say, go farm for me, and be able to email other players in games. So that's pretty cool. And lastly, there's item levels. Item levels are basically, you can make better, high-quality versions of items. So, you can make chest armor that is a level 3 grade or something, and it would have higher protection than a level 1. Pretty simple right there and there. So that covers the roadmap, guys. Go check it out for yourself and read the exact details. One thing that Gary and team and Hulk have made very clear is that any of this can change. They said it's not written on stone. If it doesn't work out, if it's something that just doesn't seem to fit the way the game is going, it may get removed. For all we know, small monuments might not work out and they disappear, or vehicles might just be too impossible, or maybe the cargo ship event sucks ass. You get the idea there. So don't take this as 100% set in stone, but this is how they're going to communicate to us. They want to update this roadmap as they're doing stuff. So they're making an effort here, guys. So, take it with a grain of salt. Look at it as these are goals, but not set in stone. So that's pretty much there. So we're going to go ahead and hit a couple of pictures from the dev blog of some of the stuff that's been added, and we'll finish up the video there. Alright, so let's get to what was done this week. So this week they have added flare to the guns and other light sources, and basically what it means is, as you can see here with the spotlight is meant to kind of blind more, so if you're looking into it you can't really see the operator. They have a little bit more protection, and it's just kind of a little more realistic, and you can actually try to blind people with flashlights. As you can see here, the gun flashlight is quite blinding. Laser sight has a bit of a flare to itself as well. The aforementioned backpack we've got here. So yes, backpacks are going to have to do with increasing what you can carry. This is the first iteration, and I'm excited to see what they end up doing with these here. I also like the fact that one of the sides is a jumper cable connecting it, which is pretty funny. Furthermore, they are working on the smoluments, or the small monuments, which will be between big monuments and give more looting areas. As you can see, this is the work on the gas station so far. And the supermarket from a way old concept art, which actually says sperm kit on it, which is pretty funny. As you can see, it is now pretty well worked on and ready to start getting implemented into the game. There's also been some changes to the snow biomes. As you can see in the pictures here, the snow is just pretty much more snowy, poofy, kind of that fresh powder look to it, which is quite nice. And that's, something just it's more of an immersive thing, makes it look nice. They realize the snow biome isn't exactly super beautiful, and that's something they wanted to go ahead and fix there. In addition to this, they've done some fixes to the ore nodes that weren't yielding properly. That's been knocked out and fixed. There's also some early game balancing. The trout now, if you use the fish trap, give 8 animal fat instead of 3. Hide armor pieces have the cost reduced by half. Bone armor now only requires 1 rope instead of 2, and the stone pickaxe equals the stone hatchet now with 200 wood and 100 stone. In addition to the fact that they felt like searchlights weren't being used very often, they have now been reduced from 500 metal and 1,000 wood to 200 and 500. So hopefully those start popping up and around more. But like I said, this is pretty much a pretty simple update. I hope you guys enjoyed this and are excited about the roadmap and the fact that there's, clear guidelines of what they're working on. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it kind of helped clear things up a little bit and it's a little easier than just reading the dev blog. As always, please show your support by liking the video, sharing it with your friends, sub if you'd like to see these. They go out every week if you're new, and we will see you next week for what's being added then. Thanks for watching.